And so we're off to the Northern Iaido and Jodo seminar, and it's a bright and early start, 7 a.m. Well, 6 a.m. really, 6 a.m. out the door, and 7:30 a.m. sail. I think that's right. But you can't really beat the view. And then we got on to a couple of hours in the car. I think it's what, 4 to 6 hours drive, something like that. Yeah, all the way to Newcastle Upon Tyne, setting out from beautiful Belfast. Here you can kind of see we got Carrickfergus in the background, Larne direction. We're going Whitehead, Larne, that sort of direction. So yeah, so we're just leaving Northern Ireland now, set sail for Scotland.
With Line, and wish you a safe and pleasant onward journey. Thank you.
And that's us arriving in Scotland. Ready for a big drive. Please stop. Just got done with our Friday night, and it was super information download. Basically just did Maya most of the night, and one or two other kata, and just key details on Ray, and like Chiburi, Noto, cutting positions. Yeah, just really fine details. Really killer session, about 3 hours long, just under 3 hours. But yeah, loads more to go tomorrow. That's our Friday night. So it's Saturday morning. I've just been to the shops, collect some essential supplies of HP sauce and ketchup for a fry, and then straight into the seminar. And so finishes day one of the first seminar. And so finishes the first day of the seminar. So we worked on Chakuganten for all 12 Seitei forms. That was the main focus. So yeah, just grading points, ticking boxes, slowing things down, and just trying to tick the boxes, hit the positions, get the footwork right, cut the target, all those basic things. But yeah, really good. And we got a time with, I would say, three different sensei. So yeah, getting a good hour or so, or hour and a half or so each, with 6-dan renshi and 6-dan senseis, or higher, with the occasional one-to-one with Nanadan and Kyoshi. Yeah, really good. Actually a couple Nanadan I think here. So yeah, really great experience so far. Legs are busted, feet are busted, but ready for more in the morning. Time to get home, get back to my mate's house, get showered, and get ready for dinner with some friends and good company. And then it's up early in the morning, back in the dojo. Right, so I thought we'd go ahead and take a look at my Ikkyu grading footage from the Northern seminar. I'll go over just a few things. Obviously I got some notes from my Sensei. We recorded some videos. So basically my Sensei who teaches me is based in Newcastle Upon Tyne, and we're in Belfast, so we don't get a lot of regular teaching. What we get is big information dumps. We'll get like a seminar-ish style weekend once or twice a year, and we've take everything that we can from that, and we get one session per week of an hour per week otherwise, and we work amongst ourselves. So just a bit of background and context for my EI journey so far, and what I've got to work with. Okay, but we're building up a club from nothing, but yeah, hopefully within a little while we'll have some downgrades under the roof, and we'll be able to build a foundation to structure the club on properly, for EI anyway. Anyway, so I got some general feedback comments. So I'll go through those first, and then we'll watch the grading footage, and we'll talk about like Chakuganten, the grading points, and hopefully this will just give a bit of general context as to what I was trying to do. So the feedback from the video that I sent prior to the grading just said that, you know, definitely in the ballpark and ready to grade. My cuts, as a general habit, were ending a little bit too low for ZNKR, so it was a little bit too Koryu, which makes sense because when I watch a lot of Embu on YouTube, I'm watching a lot of Koryu a lot of times. Obviously, if you're watching like something you need to be careful of is if you're watching a lot of like 8th dan kata, you know, really high level kata, you're going to be looking at a lot of Koryu. Even if they're demonstrating Seitei, there's a lot of, you know, that because they're operating at just a different ballpark, a different level. So just be cautious with that. If you're like me and you get a little bit too absorbed into that stuff, it can trickle down. And where people, you know, grading is like a job interview. They just want to see that you can meet the criteria. So if you overcook it on certain things, it's hard for them to understand. Do you just not understand, or is it a style thing, or whatever? And all too often it will probably come off as you just don't understand. So yeah, anyway, not a big massive point, but if you're doing it as a habit all the time, then it's a bit of a problem, because ultimately, you know, the first few grades, and I'm basing this off my experience in Kendo, you know, I'm not pretending I know everything about EI, of course not, I'm Ikkyu, but you need to respect the fundamentals. You know, for the first few downgrades, that's what you're doing, you're showing that you have a command of the fundamentals. So yeah, an important point. Furikaburi, needed to have a higher Furikaburi cutting position. Apparently very common problem for Kendoka, which I can understand, because in Kendo it's all too easy. It's a problem in Kendo actually, for a lot of Kendoka as well, when they're doing large Kihon. There's a tendency to try to pull back the shinai to the shortest roots, so Furikaburi position ends up being like really close to your head, even for large Kihon. And really it just needs that real opening up above your head. So yeah, so definite issue there, and hardly surprising. Starting angle of Ochiburi wasn't right. I think it just had too much tilt on it, really. It needs to be, you know, as if you're starting, so if you've got your swords on the floor, no more than that angle. Finishing position of Yoko Ochiburi, the tip was too low. It should be slightly below, as if it was resting on the floor, tip level with the edge of the tsuba. Yeah, so this is what I'm getting at. So yeah, Reiho, needed to work on my Seiza, sitting too far back, and that was tilting the saya back and making it all too easy to strike the floor with the saya. I think that comes from people wanting to put their shoulders back and down. You feel like you're sitting really upright, but actually what you're doing is you're overcompensating. You kind of need to have more of a proactive seiza, if that makes sense. So your seiza should be engaged, is a good way to think of it. Like, so if there's people in front of you, you're not leaning back away from them, you're straight up, but you're engaged with them. It's a subtle difference, but I definitely understand it, and it was really easy to adopt just like that. So yeah, not a problem. Opening Tore, yeah, there was stuff I needed to work on with this. I had stuff in slightly the wrong order. And closing Tore, don't drag the Kojiri along the floor. Yeah, not a problem. Okay, cool. Right, let's get into the video. So I did Maya, Uke Nagashi, Kesagiri, Morotsuki, and Ganmeate. Those are the kata I did for the grading. So we'll get into it. I'm going to watch the videos and comment based on the Chakuganten, and we can just look at what I got and what I missed. So the Chakuganten for Maya is, do you have enough Saibiki on a Nukitsuke cut? So are you pulling the saya around, you know, down and back and leveling it horizontal right back round? Yeah, so if your cut's coming across this way, is your saya matching that angle back and down at the level of your hips? So we'll go ahead and we'll have a look, see if I manage to pull it off. So I'm the person closest to camera, just in case you're wondering. I think a reasonably recognizable, probably the oldest person in the group. Yeah, I'm definitely the oldest person in the group, which I think is probably quite a nice thing to see, isn't it? Plenty of young candidates, you know, young new Iaido Bu, really good for the art. Hopefully they all stick with it. Okay, so here we are, we're ready to go for Maya. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's not bad. It could have been a bit more. Okay, let's go back to... Let's go back and have a look at the Furikaburi. And did I push the Kisaki? Yeah, behind the left. Yeah, that's not too bad. Furikaburi is okay. It's still a little bit compact. Does the tip remain horizontal in Furikaburi? So did I keep the sword level? Or did it drop behind my head? Yeah, like that. No. Yeah, nice 45-degree motion. So that box ticked. It's a Kirioroshi cut made without hesitation. I think I did okay for that, for Ikkyu. Yeah, so the idea is from Furikaburi that as soon as your left hand comes back on, the cut should draw down. So it shouldn't really be a big stop at the top there. There's a small pause, but it's Ikkyu. Probably okay. Does the tip finish just below horizontal? Yep, that's fine. Correct. Ochuri. I think I did okay with that. And Noto I think is decent. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at Uke Nagashi. Oh, by the way, if you want to leave me comments, tell me how rubbish it was, or advice, anything like that, do feel free. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Like I said, I'm only Ikkyu. I know I'm Ikkyu. I'm almost 40 years old, and I've been through this kind of before with Kendo, so I know the score. So don't worry about that. Yeah, but feel free to chime in the comments. Okay, so Chakuganten, does the Nagashi protect the head? Does the cut go along the Kesa line and the left foot finish behind the right? Does the Kisaki finish below horizontal and the left hand in the center? This, for me, is a hard cutter. I'm not sure exactly why I chose Uke Nagashi, right? Ikkyu is free choice of kata. Yeah, it's not the most obvious choice. It's reasonably difficult kata, I think, in my opinion. You really have to nail the footwork for it. There's a lot of points to tick. But it's just what I decided to do. So here we go, let's take a look at it and we'll go through it point by point. So first thing is, does the nagashi protect the head? It's a little marginal, I would say. I'm still having problems. Again, I think this is very it's a transitional thing, right? So having difficulty doing the draw, pulling that back, and I'm pulling this forward too much. I think I need more upward angle to keep my fist closer to my face, so that I'm using the controlling edge of the sword. So when it pops out, this goes horizontal and up. So it's like a punch up. So that will bring the blade nice and level. What's happening is I'm still bringing it too far forward, and so the tip is very low. And it's maybe just about there in the ballpark, but I would say that there's a here, right here, it looks to me like it's still vulnerable. So while it's kind of getting the coverage from the front half of my head, the back half of my head is still open. That's how it looks to me. So yeah, not the best. So does the cut go along the Kesa line? It's okay. It could probably be a little bit more expressive, but it's not bad. Does the Kisaki finish below horizontal and the left hand in center? I think that cut's a little bit too horizontal still, isn't it? Let's go back and have a look again. It basically is horizontal, I think. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so Kesagiri. Again, I'm surprised I chose this kata because it's not one of my ones I'm good at, I think. So is the right hand above the shoulder before rotating the sword? I think I got this part right. I gotta be honest. I think I did okay with this. Let's go back and have a look. Yeah, comes up nice and vertical. I mean, yeah, the form is probably still a little bit loose. There's maybe a little bit too much tension in that arm. It's not bad. Chiburi timing left foot and hand together and the angle correct. This is something I struggle with, actually, is the Chiburi. I tend to lift up and then throw it down, rather than being able to step back and just let it fall. So yeah, it's definitely a point I need to work on for the future. Alright, so moving on to Moroteski. Now I know I messed this up. I've watched this before. So the grading points on this is Nukiuchi cut at the correct angle, finishing at chin height. I think I'm okay at that. Generally decent at that first opening cut. Is the left foot forward movement correct? Do I hit Chudan and then ski the correct target, you know, with a strong technique? I think my ski is okay. What's happened is when I do the cut, the Nukiuchi cut, I'm not doing big enough footwork for that. So then there's no reason to, I feel like there's no reason to physically pull up my left foot and then step into do the morote ski. But it's all starting on that first cut. So while the cut is good, the footwork for it needs to be stronger, a little bit bigger, right? Now, I knew this going into the grading, so as soon as I did this, I was really nervous during this grading. Really ridiculously nervous. Like, I haven't been that nervous in a grading for a long time. Obviously, I've done a few for Kendo. I'm yondan in Kendo now. And I guess because it's just that feeling of being a noob again. This is the first grading I've done. Not had that many chances to do Embu. I've done a couple of Embu in front of our Sensei before. One of my teachers is the guy running the grading here, sat on the right, Kev McNeil. So he's one of my teachers. Like I said, we get a visit. You know, we see them maybe once or twice a year, and that's the times where I've done Embu for people watching, right? Other than people who don't know what they're looking at, you know, sure, I've showed people to promote EI, and try to get people involved and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as people who know what they're talking about. Anyway, so the nerves got the better of me. I knew what I had to do. Make a big step. I made the big step, and then I just didn't recover into Jodo. So here we go. Biggest step. No recovery into Jodo. Just skied from where I stood. And off I went. So then, is the Hikinuki made when turning after the ski? I think I did okay with that. It's not bad. Let's go back and have a look. Ski, turn around. Does the sword stay in them? Nah, it becomes a little offline. It's not the worst. I mean, it would be really helpful to have an actual body for it to be stuck in. It's a bit difficult to know. You know, it's a bit difficult to know where the sword actually is without a feeling of resistance there. But anyway, excuses. Alright, so Ganmete. Chakuganten. Ate strike targeting between the eyes. So one great thing I learned at the seminar is actually that you know, the person is very close to you. And a lot of times in EI, the person is closer to you than you think. So that's something I try to bring to this particular Embu. And then when you turn, is the right hand on your hip when you turn 180 degrees. So you really want to immediately snap around and have those, you know, hands on hips. And it, what is it like? You know, like it's like you're running with a rickshaw, is how it's been described to me. And then after turning, your hips are square, left foot heel raised and straight. This was a big problem actually at the seminar for a lot of people. It's keeping their heels off the ground. Less so for myself. It was one of the things that I suppose I had a bit of an advantage at, because I've got a lot of kendo under my belt, so my left heel, well, my heels just stay off the floor as a matter of habit. Both sides, I'm pretty confident with that, because in kendo I also play Jodan as well, so I'm kind of used to using my feet both ways around. So yeah, it's just my heels don't really drop like other people's do, but I know it was a bit of a point for other people. So yeah. And is the ski made with the rear knee straight? So basically you just want a nice strong kamae into that ski, because really when you ski with your body more than anything else. You move your hips forward, so if your knees buckle, there's nothing to support your hips, and therefore there's no real strength in the technique. Alright, let's have a look. I find that ski weird, because in kendo you do everything with, in terms of ski technique, really everything comes from your center. So to ski from the side on from your hip feels kind of foreign. So of all the points in this kata, it's that last one for me that's weird. I think that thrust to the eyes is good. That's fine. Ski's probably a bit high. I think the cut's okay. The Chiburi's not bad actually, and the Noto's okay. Yeah, on the whole pretty good, I think. Probably one of my more comfortable kata. One of the very first Embu I did, that was one of the kata I did for it. And it's probably you know, I made a choice to try to mix up the kata selection. I didn't go after what I consider to be like really, really hard kata. I know some people chose to do, you know, like the 11th form, Sogiri. And I was like, no way in hell am I doing that. That's such a hard kata to do. Even though I'm a kendoka and I can do kirikashi till the cows come home. That kata I find is really, really hard, especially that horizontal cut, and it's really easy to do bad footwork in it and stuff like that. I try to choose some balanced ones. So like Kesagiri, it's a bit of a challenge, but I think there's some basic stuff where it's like it's easy enough to demonstrate, like, yeah, you know, I'm on the right track with this. And I think Ukenagashi is, it's a bit like in Kendo, you demonstrate the first 3 kata for quite a while. And if you can hack the 3rd one, it's like a door opener for the other kata. So I think that's kind of where my thought process was in choosing to do it. And I have to thank all the sensei, because they gave us plenty of opportunity to just practice the kata we were going to do for the grading. And so that meant we got plenty of opportunity to get little bits of feedback. And we did that on you know, the Sunday morning. So we focused on the grading points throughout the whole Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning it was like the finer points, you know, how to, you know, try and spit polish what we had there. Anyway, so that's my grading. Do leave me a comment and let me know how you think I did. It's early days yet, but we're planning to try and ramp things up now that we've got a couple of people graded. My mate got his shodan for Jodo, and he's also potentially looking at squad training. His performance was very good in his grading, and was caught a few people's attention, shall we say. He was very spirited, and his form was good, of course, but he had a really, really, really great spirit. So yeah, I think he's leveled up quite a bit. But anyway, it just means that we're starting to put the building blocks, the foundation building blocks in to build Ei and Joe in Northern Ireland, which is nice, but it's going to take some time. Anyway, like I said, leave me some feedback, comments, whatever you like, and I'll do my best to read them and respond to them, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Right, take care. Bye bye.